Hello everyone and welcome to what will be a new series on the channel. Um, Many of you may have heard, many of you probably haven't heard, but this is the second league, the second competitive league I'm joining. This is the Terminus Champions League, and I will be representing the the Blackthorn Nidoqueens right here. Now, why Nidoqueen? Because it is one of my favorite Pokemon, and I did get third place at Worlds with the Nidoqueen card back in 2005. So that's why Nidoqueen has a really special place in my heart, and every occasion I can use it, I will use it. Now, this will be our draft review, where after several hours, all of us who are participating in the Terminus Champions League, we all got to choose different Pokemon from the Smogon tires: overused, underused, rarely used, and never used. And these were my picks. So I'll go through each Pokemon quite briefly, describe a bit why I chose them and what they bring to the team. So first of all, I started out with my Mega. I chose Mega Scissor because I believe it's a very versatile Mega. It can support your team with things like defog. It can wall thanks to its steel typing, and it can also be a very offensive threat with all of the Swords Dance sets. Having a slow U-turn on the team is also pretty great in order for you to have some momentum into your team. And yeah, I mean, it's overall a pretty good Pokemon. Priority Bullet Punch with Technician and all of that is something very nice to have in every team. It allows you to ensure you don't get swept by a lot of teams and a lot of frail but powerful Pokemon. And that is why I decided to choose Scissor as my Mega Pokemon. Now, the second Pokemon I opted to bring into the team was Landorus-Therian. This might be my VGC influence, but it's a Pokemon I really like, and from the time I've spent playing and studying the singles metagames, Landorus-Therian is just as effective in singles as it is in doubles. Intimidate is still a pretty valuable ability. Its typing is amazing, and here it can act as a very versatile Pokemon, just like Scissor. It can knock off items, it can play a very defensive set with Leftovers or Rocky Helmet. It also can bring to a team a slow U-turn, allowing you to get momentum with your switches. And it can also run a very offensive set with Choice Band or potentially Choice Scarf. It can use Explosion to surprise your opponents and break some sort of wall that might be bothering you in order to open up a sweep for one of your special or physical sweepers. So having versatility, especially in the league formats where you have to adapt your team every week to a different set of Pokemon, is what makes a Pokemon really good or really bad in a league. And Landorus is definitely one Pokemon that excels at keeping your opponent guessing. Now, the third Pokemon I chose to bring was Celebi. Now, after the draft finished, I regret a bit bringing Celebi because of the shared fire weakness with Scissor, but it's still a pretty good Pokemon, and just like Landorus and just like Scissor, it's very versatile. It can have a baton passing set, it can support the team with Healing Wish, it can Heal Bell, it can pass on how do you call it? It can pass boosts such as Nasty Plot or Swords Dance. It can become a sweeper itself by using Nasty Plot to power up its attacks. It can trick items to your opponent's Pokemon. It can run a Choice Specs offensive set. So there's a lot you can do, and it's amazing base stats, 100 across the board, also really help it in really being a good team member. Now, those were my 3 overused picks. I'm very happy with them. I don't like the fact that Celebi and Scizor share a fire weakness, but I think we picked rather well to be able to deal with potential fire Pokemon. Now, our first underused pick was Umbreon. Now, I really like Umbreon because it has the best defensive stats out of all the evolutions, and since you use Foul Play, you can still be a very offensive threat against certain physical Pokemon. Its ability Synchronize allows you to ensure things that want to Toxic you, to wear you down or something like that. Can't really do it effectively because they get Toxic or Will-O-Wisp themselves. And yeah, it can once again act as a Cleric with Heal Bell. It can Wish Pass, it can Baton Pass on boosts. So there's a lot of things you can do with Umbreon. I really like it, and I really like the fact that it's a pure dark, because we do have Celebi with the Fighting Resist, we do have Landorus with the Fighting Resist, and as you will see, we have a lot of Fighting Resist Pokemon, so yeah, Umbreon can definitely be a threat to my opponent's team, and it can be a Pokemon that's very hard to take down. Now, our next underused pick was Florges. As you can see, another Fighting Resist. I really don't want to be weak to Fighting type Pokemon. And Florges is a Pokemon that I've never used competitively, but it's an amazing special wall. It can be great for defensive support. It can also Wish Pass. As you can see, I really like the Wish Passing strategy, and Umbreon, Florges, and one of our never used picks can actually Wish Pass, so that brings some longevity to the team along with longevity to the Pokemon themselves. Or it can also become a very threatening Pokemon once some physical Pokemon are taken down. If you run a Calm Mindset, you can really run through your opponent's team with Moonblast. So that covers Florges. Now, our next pick in underused, I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to pick it, but it is the team's mascot, so Nidoqueen was the Pokemon I decided to draft. Now, Nidoqueen is a bit bulkier than Nidoking. Sheer Force Life Orb is an amazing set in order to put pressure on your opponent and potentially break some walls. And not only that, it also has access to both Stealth Rock and Toxic Spike. So setting up hazards is always pretty good in singles format. So once again, a very versatile Pokemon. We could even run a surprise Choice Scarf set or Choice Specs set, something like that. So we can definitely keep our opponents guessing with Nidoqueen. And just like I said, I honestly didn't know what other Pokemon to draft for underused besides Umbreon and Florges. And since I saw Nidoqueen was still available, I figured why not. I'm sure we will be bringing it to battle more than once, and she will pull through. Now, our first rarely used pick was Alomomola. Now, this is the first water Pokemon and our first fire resists, which is definitely very important to the team. But I love the fact that Alomomola has Regenerator as its ability. I think that's so valuable, in that switching out recovers 25% of your health. And once again, having played VGC so much and having used Amoonguss for a lot of the season, I really value how important Regenerator is, and especially in singles format where switching out is a lot more often than in doubles format. I think Regenerator is going to be pretty amazing here, and with such a high HP stat, it can even take special defense hits, specially based hits, pretty well. Now, of course, Alomomola will be one of our physical defensive pivots, and when combined with Landorus' Intimidate, we really have the physical spectrum pretty well covered, I would say. Now, he's not as versatile as my other Pokemon, and I mean, as you go down the tiers, or the tiers, sorry, not tires, the tiers, it really explains why these Pokemon are not used as often, but it's also another Wish Passer combined with Umbreon and Florges, so once again providing longevity to other more versatile Pokemon, which is something pretty great. Now for our next Pokemon, I chose Axelgar. I fell in love with Axelgar after I saw it used in the UCL Championship final game, where Pokeaim MD set up spikes and proceeded to sweep the game pretty easily, and its speed stats along with its high special attack just really like Axelgar. I think it's not too versatile. Once again, everybody knows if you have it, you're probably leading with it, and it probably has a Focus Sash, and you probably want to set up some sort of entry hazards with it, but having access to Final Gambit, having access to Encore, having access to Spikes, or potentially using a Life Orb offensive set with a lot of coverage moves, all of that makes Axelgar a pretty threatening Pokemon, especially with its super high speed stat. So that's why I decided to bring Axelgar into the team. I also had a pretty slow bug Pokemon in Scissor, so this is a pretty fast bug Pokemon, which is a very polarizing effect, and we might surprise our opponents with Axelgar once in a while, or if we notice some weakness where my opponent didn't get a Rapid Spinner, or he didn't have a Pokemon with Defog, we might want to just set up at least 2 layers with Spikes, because if we use Focus Sash, we do have that guaranteed, and we can get that passive damage going from the get-go. Now my third pick for rarely used was Druddigon, because it's like a mini Garchomp in the sense that it doesn't have the 4 times ice weakness, which I really like, and it's another fire resist, which I really like on the team as well, because I think fire Pokemon can give us a bit of trouble, but Druddigon can do damage just by its ability Rough Skin. It can also be a sweeper with Sheer Force. We could surprise our opponents with a Choice Band Sheer Force attack or something like that, and it can also support the team with Assault Vest and setting up Stealth Rock, taking usually special hits such as fire moves or water moves or grass moves or even electric moves, and dealing some damage back on the physical spectrum with its ability. So this is a very versatile Pokemon. It's obviously outclassed by many other Dragon Pokemon such as Garchomp or Dragonite or things like that, but I think it will fill a pretty nice role, and Dragon is a very nice defensive typing, so I'm very happy with that pick. Now my next pick from the never used tire, and something I'm very surprised having just recently gotten into singles battles, the fact that this guy is never used, because Magmortar is a Pokemon I really like, and it has a pretty decent attack stat along with a very high special attack stat, and it has a very decent speed. So with a Life Orb and moves such as Superpower and Fire Blast and Thunderbolt, or potentially Expert Belt or something like that, I think Magmortar can do a lot of work against certain teams and break down walls for our sweepers to really open up the path and get us some victories. So that's why I chose Magmortar. It's also a fire type, which our team was definitely lacking, and it does provide some very needed offensive power. And once again, it can surprise our opponents in that we can use an Expert Belt set, we can use a Choice Scarf set, we can use an Assault Vest set, and we could even confuse our opponents into guessing if we have Choice Band or Choice Scarf or Choice Specs or Expert Belt, or they really wouldn't know what hit them. So I'm really looking forward to using Magmortar. Now our second never used pick was another Pokemon I was very surprised. It's Miss Mages, which is very fragile on the physical side and it's very susceptible to getting pursuit trapped, but I don't think it's the worst Pokemon in the world, and not something that, even though it's weak to pursuit, would be something to justify not using it, because it has a very nice balance of special attack, special defense and speed. 105 base speed does put it at a very nice speed tier, allowing you to outspeed all base 100 such as Victini or Mew or even Celebi that don't hold a choice card. And it can learn a lot of special moves. It can learn Dazzling Gleam, it can learn Psychic, it can learn Shadow Ball, it can learn Thunderbolt. We can give it hidden powers such as Ice or Fire. So I think we will be able to really mold this Miss Mages into a very useful Pokemon for our team. I really look forward to using it, and I think we will be able to sweep more than 1 or 2 teams with Miss Mages alone. Now our last pick for the never used tire was Primeape, which with the abilities Anger Point or Defiant, my opponent will be wary in that he can't just switch in an Intimidator to reduce its damage output, or if he gets lucky and crits us, we might get a max attack Primeape going. So I do like those abilities. I do like that it's a very hard hitting fighting Pokemon, which we were lacking ourselves. It's always nice to bring some close combat stab into any team really. And it also learns U-turn, which goes along with our Landorus and Scizor slow U-turn core, which I'm very confident will allow us to keep momentum in a lot of battles. And I do have a few ideas with Primeape, which I'm not gonna talk about now because I don't want my opponents to figure them out, but it can get easily walled, I think, but if we use U-turn smartly, we should be able to cover our weakness and maintain momentum on our side. And that will be all in terms of our draft review. Our first opponents will be the Cerulean City Chandelures, so look forward to that match going up this Saturday 9th. Not entirely sure at what hour, but it'll probably be in the early hours of the morning, so you have all day to watch it as we start off in the Terminus Champions League and we try to win another league. The other league we are participating on, you might have missed, it is the Pokedraft Kings League. I am up 2-0 with a pretty amazing differential. Our first battle we won 5-0, and the second battle, which was VGC format, we won the best of 3 with a differential of +6. So we're sitting undefeated, we're sitting with a pretty high differential, and I hope to bring that success in that league into this one, which is a very different format because this is draft based and I will be using this 12 Pokemon every single week, or some variation of them, but I'm very confident we can take this league as well. That will be all, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like in the video if you're looking forward to support your Blackthorn Nidoqueens in order for us to reach the playoff first and then take the championship for ourselves. Thank you, guys, and I look forward to our battle next Saturday. Bye bye.